Now, the rest of the story.
You know, it wasn't until I was fairly well into this project that I really should have just turned the camera on and you guys could have seen me do this from start to finish. So we shook up the chisel plows. That guy's moved because that was in the way. This guy was in the way, and I need some dental work. Ugh. Look at that. I'd say poor welds. That's right, I'm the one that welded it. It's absolutely terrible welds, to be honest with you. I gotta fix that. Don't tell Ryan I did that. Ugh. I'm gonna pull the VT back out this way, but I'm gonna back the 82 back in and get the deer chisel plow because I'm not gonna keep harping on how much I hate that one. It's just built light. So I want to run the deer chisel plow. We got a bunch of ground. I actually might go out and chisel a little bit right now before the supposed hail, wind, rain, whatever we might get. So big perk about running the deer chisel is the front gang is actually at an angle, like, you know, the front blades on a disc. So I went through and changed all the blades on this last year. Took me, I don't know, a few hours all together between running around doing different things. So brand new set of blades on the front, and what that does, especially in the fall, we're able to eliminate the VT pass or the rhino cutter pass, unless you want to grind up your residue and then bury them, you know, maybe break down a little bit quicker. I'm not going to argue that fact too because I've done it. But if you just want to go through and get your ground worked, this for the win. I prefer this over the straight blades. I know they're dull, but we've had them on the Glencoe before this and the Glencoe before that. Not a fan. So these nice sharp blades, these start to go bad, I'll go through and I'll replace them again. It's not that big of a deal. You just gotta be willing to get your hands dirty. And as you're going through the field, these actually go through ahead of the shanks, throw some dirt over top of the residue before they go, before the shovels go through that ground, and that dirt actually helps incorporate that residue into the dirt already, so you're less likely to plug. Impossible to plug? Around here, nothing's impossible. So it really cuts down the amount of times you gotta stop and unplug it. That thing, yeah, if we put a new set of blades on it, it would help. But it doesn't have quite the clearance for the residue to flow underneath it like this guy does. And if I could find another chisel plow like this, I would buy it. That is not a recommendation for people to start looking for chisel plows for me. I'm not in the market. But I would buy it. I would like another one of these. This is Dad's. That's Dad's. And if I wanted to get into the market for looking for another chisel plow, which I'm not, make that clear, this is actually the design I would go for. The only thing I would possibly change on it, is the hydraulically adjustable front gang. That one has it, and that is actually a big improvement when you get on ground that you don't need it. But when I say that, I also mean that as it's nice to be able to pick the gangs up so you're not wearing out your bearing and your disc blade life running them when you don't have to. These actually, that is an option. You could actually get the hydraulic gang put on it. I think we could actually do it ourselves, but it requires a bunch of fabrication and stuff like that, and whether or not it's really worth it, I don't know. Running 2 chisel plows is super duper nice. Running 2 balers is going to be super nice. I mean, one bigger combine is, a given, going to be awesome. But we got the VT, myself, we need a field cultivator. I wouldn't mind actually having just your stereotypical field disc again, either like a 637 or something, but it's not even fun to really look at equipment. With the way prices are right now, it's not. I have no interest in really even looking at any of the tractor magazines and whatnot because everything is way overpriced, and prices are up on other stuff. But if you have a short-sighted view of, oh, these prices are here forever, you're gonna get sunk. So I like paying off stuff as fast as possible. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hook the 82 onto this. Probably go and work some of this ground out here that Dad and Ryan dumped manure on. I'm hoping I'm not getting you guys motion sickness. I just greased it, checked the oils. It needs to be washed. It still runs just fine, but I'm not going to go through and wash it today. Today is Tuesday, calling for this weather tonight, tomorrow. Wind on Thursday. Hopefully between the wind on Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday, because they're calling for a chance of rain again Sunday night. How much? I don't know. I don't even know how much rain they're calling for tonight, tomorrow. But I don't know if it's just, the hail and just the crummy weather. But if the ground isn't too overly wet, which I did some dirt pushing with the deer out that way, and it is a little soft underneath, but I'm hoping I'm not going through to brake compactor or anything with this. I'm just going to basically just work in that manure, that mucky stuff Dad and Ryan hauled out, because they didn't haul out the bed pack, where you got all the fodder and the hay residue. It's actually just the muck, the sludge, the stuff at the bottom of the tank, shall we say. So I'm gonna get this out of the way so I can pull that back over here. Probably gonna put it like right here just so it's out of the way, because I'm gonna need that. Go chisel really quick tonight, and then probably put the VT on tomorrow so we can actually hopefully seed our seeding down on Saturday. A day or so of that hopefully will be done. So we gotta get the VT on, and then probably put the chisel paw back on, unfortunately, to do a couple rando jobs. I want to get this back in there. I want to get the other baler parked in here. I want to get the bean head, the header cart, if I have room for it, in here. If they're calling for hail and crummy weather, I can back in the shed really quick with the skid steer and at least get it out of the weather. So let me shake the shed around a little bit more and I'll give you an update. Well, I'm still working on putting stuff away. All I got left is the 76 and the 566, and while I was in the process of getting this in the shed, it occurred to me I need to take advantage of a little bit of a lull period here and try the fertilizer system. It works. I went through, put water in the tank and pressurized everything at full pressure. I did end up finding, which is pretty common, I got a loose hose right here. All I gotta do is I'll just take it out and either trim off the end and shove it back in or what, but the rest of these are actually holding water, and you notice that one is not. So that's actually, well, it's the first time that one's ever given me issues. It's usually these first two, and they're not being an issue this time around. Thought I did have an issue. The airbags on this did not want to pressure up. For some reason, well, I can show you on this side. This air hose on the other side went to go fold it up. It caught somehow, and it must have pulled it out of the fitting on the far side just enough where it wasn't allowed to build up pressure, because all you gotta do is do that. They come right out, but I got pressure on them for now. Want to make sure they're going to hold pressure, because we were moving these around, and well, when we had to put these brackets on for this reveal system, you're really not supposed to scrunch these around too much. Of course, there was no air pressure in them, and I was told that can damage them internally. I was low-key worried about that, but believe it or not, the planter is pretty ready to go. I do want to go through, we'll wash everything off, but if you guys can't hear, the wind is blowing pretty nasty, and in a dirt floor shed like this, everything just gets a film of dirt on it. I mean, even my my toolbox here. This was clean. That was just from this morning. So we got that ready to go. Hopefully we don't need it. But for $1,500, portable enough road box. We can throw in the back of the truck. Bought this thing on a whim last year, and we actually used it in the last 4 days of harvest. I think we used it 3 out of the 4 days. Nothing major, but it's amazing how convenient it is for those of us that don't carry a whole shop truck of parts with us. Just having something there, you can go grab a screwdriver, a wrench, or whatnot. Still waiting on those. Those are still nice and shiny. Got the new baler back in. It is a 569 premium. I know people are wanting to know, but it is on Ryan's channel. Wow, you can actually see me in that. So they did a really nice job of waxing it. I gotta go through and do a lot of everything to this one, but the reason this one is back here, whoops, which I'm seeing why people don't like the gull wing doors, because if I didn't have a whole lot of real estate over here to fold that up, I mean, it takes up a lot of room to get that up out of the way, which in season, out in the field is fine. Over where the 46 is sitting, that'll be plenty fine. The thing is, you just gotta be aware of when you get into areas like this, where with the traditional, you know, suicide style doors on them, you can at least open it up enough and still get in there and work. I'm sure I could open that up and get up underneath there. Not a whole lot to say about this baler as far as do I like it, do I don't like it, yada yada yada. Honestly, I want to get done with the 566 done first, because that does need at least 3 new belts or 3 replacement belts put on it. Grease it, do a few of the teeth that need to be replaced on it, and once that one is good to go, I'll address this one, which is probably going to be after planting. I mean, unless we get really bogged down with rain here, which it doesn't really look like it, but it's, you know, it's a baler that I've kind of been wanting for quite a while. So new roller chains, fine box does nothing for me. The springs here, those are pretty common to be all broken up. I had to replace those on our 535 before that went away with Grandpa's estate, and that 566 when we got that, had those replaced on it also. Kicker on it will be nice, just because this baler is going to be on the 8235 for the most part. I don't have the acid applicator for it yet. I didn't order one yet, largely just because, I mean, come on guys. I'm getting, whoops. Yep, somebody's looking for me. I'm not against putting the applicator on it. The only thing is, I actually would like to have an acid applicator on both balers. But as of right now, just for at least this year, I'm going to be leaving the acid applicator on the 566, and then going through and doing the headlands and the shaded areas with that, doing the preservative, and then ideally hitting the rest of the field where it's drier with this. So pickup actually doesn't look too bad. I want to check the bearings on the ends of the pickup, and I just need to walk away from the thing because I'll sit and talk for forever on it. I really need to actually move the feed mill grain mixer. Okay, yeah, so there is a locking mechanism for it right here that wasn't actually latched, but I think we're gonna like it. More importantly, I think I'm gonna like it. Thing is, I think Ryan, potentially Dad, are likely to run it more than I will, but we'll see. I mean, on Dad and Ryan's stuff where we're not going to be putting preservative on it, I mean, I'm planning on putting the 76, the monitor in the 76, and running this on the 76 and not having to drag the acid applicator around. So all around, just a heavier built baler. That The VT I see does have a low-ish tire. Does have a low tire on the inside. We got to pump that out. We can do that as it sits in the shed tomorrow, especially if they're calling for all this rain. The planter, other than having to grease the wheels, because these guys, which I think look so cool, are actually taking up a little bit more room. I used to be able to crawl through here a little bit easier just by design of the old trash whippers, road cleaners we had on here, because they would sit down through here. But at the same time, I had issues with the airbags being able to pump them up to the proper pressure that I wanted them, because these, you know, they're airbags. When you pressurize them up, they swell up. Well, when they get too much pressure in them, this one is a good example. Of course, I can't get my phone down there. See, it's actually rubbing right here. It's got, it won't focus, there it is. That is from these handles. Would rub on the airbags, and the first year that we put these on, I went through 2 airbags because I didn't realize that was an issue. If you didn't have these turned, see, if you're, this is the direction of travel. If you had it like that, as simply stupid as that is, that would be just enough to wear through that airbag. I mean, come on, XYZ amount of acres a day. How many times is that this knob rubbing up and hitting those airbags, especially when they're pressurized up to really where I want them. So being able to keep the planter in the ground without having to grind my teeth worrying that I'm just running on borrowed time before I destroy one of these, which I have one in the toolbox yet, but hopefully next year, hydraulic downforce. And these I can actually adjust how much like the raise and lower, the lift pressure or the down pressure on them. There's 2 separate airbags in here, and as you guys can see, I actually have them pulled up more clearance, because get them up off the ground. If I don't even need to run them, save the bearings, save the wear and tear on them, which I did do that with those 2. It's just I had to go out with impact and raise them up. Even on worked ground, I'll be able to adjust these from the cab. So they're being able to adjust these on the fly is going to be huge. Our corn stand, if this doesn't significantly improve our corn stand, for the stuff that we did to it this year, just the wave and the reveal system, that alone I believe is going to be huge. Maybe we won't have perfect singulation, because these don't really have much to do with singulation. Might have more to do with our emergence. You know, more likely every seed is going to be able to get up out of the ground. But just here's your mode of action. Okay, so this is removing residue out of the seed trench. All right, well, one of the perks, isn't that not nice? One of the perks of these is it's got this wheel that actually, the gauge wheel runs on the cleaned ground that you just removed the residue from. So that actually helps with keeping an even depth for your height adjustment on these. But the other perk to these 2, especially in worked ground, is that it is right in front of your seed disc openers. So what that does is, in worked ground, that's actually firming the ground, not compacting the ground, but firming the ground ahead of the seed discs. So your seed discs should ideally be able to have a more consistent depth also, because it's not having to push down through, open up a loose pillowcasey soil, which with roller basket on the back of the VT, we really don't have that as bad as we had with 630 disc of mine, where it pretty much just made a pillowcase seed bed. So once you go through, you drop your seed down. I don't have nothing's changed there yet. That'll be hopefully this summer. And then we went through, we have this wave system on. We changed out because it came with the wave. We have a smaller seed firmer, which is nicer. Largely, the first thing I see it as, it doesn't hang down so much, because I used to catch these on these front 6 rows when it was folded up and it was kind of a bear. Lower profile, but still does the same job. I'm fine with that. And then this wave is actually going to go alongside the seed trench and roll over some of that moist dirt from the sidewall and lay that over top, so you're having a steady flow of moist dirt going across the top of your seeds, and your soil shouldn't expose the seed if the soil starts to dry out. It doesn't crack open and hurt your emergence also. Just what we did here, I think, will help our yield significantly. I say significantly. I don't know what number to put on it. I'm gonna be super disappointed if we don't see any improvement in our crop stand and everything else. So I know this video is getting way too long, and I just had a phone call that I really need to respond to. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you later.